Hey guys, so I've been playing around with the Convolution Reverb, and I've got to tell you, it's pretty incredible what it can do. So I wanted to kind of give you a little walkthrough of most of the features in this effect. So what I've got here is I just have a little noise sample, just basic white noise, and this kind of gives the full effect of what the reverb's doing, because white noise gives you full frequency range. The first thing I notice when I get into this is just how many different types of reverbs there are. There's several categories, so there's 11 different categories, and each category has a number of presets. So under real places, these are all the real places that have been sampled for their room. And if I come over to ambient, small rooms, look at this. I mean, it's just a ridiculous amount of different types of reverb settings. Chambers in large rooms. So, I mean, there's tons to pick from. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'll give you a couple examples. So, real places, for example. Let's start with a Swedish nuclear reactor. So this is the dry signal. And here's with the convolution reverb. Now it's 100% wet, so I can set it. Let's go ahead and do 50% wet. Let's take a look at some of the spring reverbs. These are pretty cool, I think. Really cool. So lots of cool stuff. So let me, I'll just use a hall reverb here. Let's get a medium-sized hall to kind of test things. And I'll walk you through how it sounds when you change the settings. I mean, with just one preset, you can do so much with the sound. It's pretty ridiculous. So let's just start with some of the basic features here. So we've got our decay. If I bring it back. And then the size of the room. This is going to make the room seem much larger. And a smaller room. Obviously, pre-delay is going to delay before the effect happens. So if we've got a real long delay, you'll be able to hear it. Whereas as you pull it back, it becomes a little more blended. So those are pretty standard reverb effects here. But let's get into some of the other things that we can do. So there's an EQ built right into it. So, and it's really good EQ. Very cool. So that's the EQ. We've got position, so you could bring things front and center, way in the back, left, right, and really changes the sound quite a bit. And I think I'll be using this quite a bit to automate things. So here's just dead center. Let's bring it all the way back to the right, up close. So very cool. You can kind of give that feel of distance to the sound, which is great. Modulation here, this is kind of like a chorus type effect with a rate and amount. So you've kind of got an XY here. So you can go highest amount, highest rate. This is your rate going left to right, and then up and down is your amount. So we can do an extreme setting so you can hear, as opposed to a slower rate. And let's set this, okay, so we could set it to normal. And so that's cool. Damping is another kind of EQ type effect, but basically it just like it says, it dampens a certain frequency, which means that frequency is not going to decay as long as the rest. So if I pull down the mid here, and as you can see, while I'm moving, everything is white, and when I let go, it turns blue. So that actually is when it changes. So as I'm moving around, you're not going to hear the effect in real time until after you let go. Okay? Let's hear some of the differences here. So now we've dampened the middle, but the low end and the high end are still in there. And then we can increase the high end if we want. And as you can hear, the high end kind of trails off a little bit longer now. Bring this back down. We can play with the mid-range. Get rid of the lows. An incredible amount of versatility with the sounds you can create just with one reverb type. And then we've got our shaping here. Fade in. Okay, so that just kind of fades the reverb in, obviously, instead of having it be immediate. And the fade out. Changes the fade out time, obviously. Length. And let's see, we'll change the early. Doesn't seem to affect the timing here. Let's play with the fade in. And the fade out. And the length, let's make it a very short length to hear what it's doing. Super cool. Cascade, let's turn that all the way up. Okay, so with Cascade, it seems like it will continue the envelope or repeat it. So if I hit once, it will actually do the reverse more than once or for a longer amount of time. And if I make it short, Got it. Okay, so cascading seems to kind of double the effect, or have it do it twice rather. So very cool. So those are all the different features: shaping the sound, damping the sound, modulation, which is kind of like a chorusing effect, your stereo position, and your EQ. Now another feature is that you could have single mode or split mode. And what split mode will do is you could actually have two different types of reverb on one sound. So let's do a short reverb here for the early. So I'm going to grab a spring reverb, and it looks like the late reverb's this long one here. And let's get something noticeable here. Cabin spring. Okay, so that's going to be our early one here. And then we got the late one here being this. That almost sounds a little bit long. Let's try a stairwell or something. So you could definitely hear the two different reverbs happening on the one sound. You've got the stairwell reverb and you've got the cab reverb. I could set the cab for a longer decay, maybe a smaller size. And apparently that affects both the reverbs. Okay, I wasn't sure about that. So the early and late are going to be affected by these here. Obviously by these as well. If I change this here, it doesn't matter whether it's early or late. So it's affecting both of them at the same time. That's the convolution reverb, and I think that you're going to be able to do some pretty amazing things with it as you test it out with a lot of different sounds. And I'll be making more videos and stuff like that, but I just wanted to give you guys a first look, and I hope you learned a little something about how this could be used.